Well, a foreign trade zone really is more than one thing. It's a zone because it's a geographical place, but it's also a trade program.
A foreign trade zone is an area located inside the United States considered outside customs territory. In other words,
it's the opposite of outsourcing. The idea behind the program is to encourage companies who make things or distribute things here to make them here rather than making them overseas. The Foreign Trade Zone Corporation was started because of market demand, really. We were involved in serving as zone project administrators for a couple of zone projects, and some of our colleagues who had problems, if you will, looked to us as people who knew how to solve these problems.
We were asked again and again by companies, grantees, different individuals and entities around the country for assistance with their zones.
They saw that we were able to grow zone projects from essentially no zone-related activity to very significant zone-related activity, and these folks wanted the same sort of thing for their communities and their zone projects. So we were more or less recruited into the consulting area of the business, and of course once we got into it, then we committed to it, and the Foreign Trade Zone Corporation is the result.
Merchandise that's brought into a foreign trade zone is not subject to the normal duties and taxes, and in many cases, very many laws that other merchandise brought into the United States is subject to. Normally when you import merchandise, you pay customs duty on it right when it arrives into the country. In a foreign trade zone, you don't have to pay customs duty on it until the merchandise leaves the foreign trade zone for consumption in the United States. That offers a number of advantages. You can lower or even eliminate the customs duty because your components or raw materials may carry a higher duty rate than your end product.
The cost savings are the greatest benefit, of course.
You may have some savings on re-exports. If you export the merchandise, you don't have to pay the customs duties and taxes.
For manufacturers, one of the greatest benefits is realizing savings from the relief of the inverted tariffs. As both manufacturers and distributors participating in weekly processing, they may realize savings associated with merchandise processing fee and even customs and brokers fees. There are additional benefits to consider, those associated with duty deferral, also with the re-export of your product, and with cash flow. Zone-to-zone transfers will allow you additional savings, and as a manufacturer or distributor, being able to deal with waste, scrap, and yield loss savings. There are some unique benefits to consider within the Zones program as well. You may be able to find savings associated with ad valorem tax, government military sales, non-conforming items, and even direct delivery.
We know the Zones program. We know how to get your FTZ application in, how to get it approved if it has merit, and then how to coordinate activation activities so that you're up and running and obtaining your zone savings in a minimal amount of time.
In any successful foreign trade zone startup operation, you can have three main components. One, establishing foreign trade zone status or obtaining foreign trade zone status. Two, activating with Customs and Border Protection. And three, your systems. We can offer you a solution where we do all three of those. So when it comes to the time to implement the system, you're still dealing with one company, and we understand the finer points of the implementation, the regulations. The bottom line is, if you don't set up your foreign trade zone from day one in an efficient and compliant manner, you're going to pay for that for the rest of the time your operation runs, and it's going to reduce your savings not for the first year, but for 10 years to come.
With the Foreign Trade Zone Corporation, I think where we stand out in our industry is from the aspect that we're a turnkey solution. We do allow companies the full Foreign Trade Zone package, where they can actually come into the program. We help them apply to the Foreign Trade Zone Board, and we also provide them operational services. We as consultants help them to consider all of the aspects for that project. We will help the company go through a cost-benefit analysis, and with that cost-benefit analysis, determine if the program truly is beneficial for the entity. We have done many implementations of very small companies all the way up to the very large corporations. So as an importer, if you are currently importing, you may benefit from this program.
We understand all aspects of the Zones program,
which gives our clients a huge advantage. That's all we do, so we know all the ins and outs, we know the intricacies, we understand what the Foreign Trade Zones Board is looking for from the application side, we understand what Customs and Border Protection wants and needs.
We've been involved in discussions with a number of administrative agencies like USTR, the ITC, and so on real policy issues.
And we even know from the congressional side what bills are affecting them and how to get things done if we have to go to the Hill.
We've worked with the Senate Majority Leader on one piece of legislation, Congressional Budget Office. By the way, never legislate unless you have to. But we understand where some of the pitfalls are that can really make a difference in the application process.
The key is we only provide foreign trade zone services, which means we do more projects, we run across more odd situations, and we solve more odd situations. So we have a much wider level of expertise in foreign trade zones because all we offer is foreign trade zone consulting, and we're the only company that does that.
I think one of the key parts of our company is that each of us have operated foreign trade zones. We've worked in that program, and with that operation, that brings to the table a different level of expertise.
Once the Foreign Trade Zone Corporation takes on a project, the first step is we have a kickoff meeting, and we want to understand everything about our client. We want to understand from the system standpoint and as well as the physical standpoint, how merchandise moves through the facility, how merchandise is received, how it moves through the supply chain. To do that, you need a consultant that is familiar with the Foreign Trade Zones Board, is familiar with the application process, and also is familiar with the trade environment on the whole. They also need to have the tools for the research. We have all those tools and we have the experience. We've been doing it for 17 years and have done over 175 zone projects. In activating any foreign trade zone, many people look at what's the paperwork, the Foreign Trade Zones manual. In reality, the key aspect is the Foreign Trade Zones inventory control.
Inventory control is important in operating in a zone environment because what you're really doing is you're determining how much customs duties the U.S. government is going to collect. So Uncle Sam is very interested in getting every nickel that is due him. Obviously, you're interested in saving every nickel that you can.
If your system is not accurate, some of the issues that you'll have to deal with is non-compliance, inaccurate reporting to your government agencies, and also even the possibility of opening yourself up to penalties and additional fees.
Things that we're often asked to do is to go into companies that have been up and running sometimes for many years as a foreign trade zone and help them change their operations. And during that process, we generally almost always capture additional savings, which more than pays for the cost of redoing their entire operation. Smart Zone software is a foreign trade zone inventory control solution.
Not built for one particular company, but built for all industry.
It's very easily implemented. We've focused very hard on making sure that the implementation is as easy as possible. Two, the individuals that help with the implementation understand not only the software but foreign trade zones on the whole. That's a huge advantage.
It provides the tools that any company or entity would need to operate a foreign trade zone. It maintains all of their accurate audit trail for inventory control. It also provides all of the tools that you would need for reporting to the different governmental agencies. Some of them are daily, weekly reporting, and even the annual reports and quarterly reports that need to occur.
Smart Zone software is the only software that's actually designed by foreign trade zone practitioners.
The technology we use is called Smart Client. So we've got the advantages of a rich user interface, but we have the deployment advantage of a web-based where there's central administration, central deployment, but we've got advanced user interfaces of a full Windows application.
Smart Zone Premier offers you easy implementation, it's state of the art, and you know it's compliant because it's designed by foreign trade zone practitioners. In other words, individuals that have run foreign trade zones for an average of 15 to 20 years.
So as far as we know, there are no other competitors out there that use the latest technologies that we do.
It provides the tools that any company or entity would need to operate a foreign trade zone. It maintains all of their accurate audit trail for inventory control.
Each SmartZone Premier server is directly connected to Customs through a Cisco VPN client. That VPN connection allows us to electronically transmit reports such as the E214 and download CATER feeds to automatically update supporting tables like HTSUS, port codes, and currency conversions. We're also able to transmit electronic reports through the user's broker. By integrating with existing company systems, either directly through our integration tool or through link files, we're able to quickly and easily use this data to print or electronically file all the documentation you need to have a compliant zone operation.
Without an accurate inventory control system that's implemented by individuals that understand foreign trade zones, you're going to lose quite a bit of savings. You're going to have significant risk for fines and penalties and liquidated damages, and you're simply not going to maximize your savings. The Foreign Trade Zone Corporation has a tendency, because we've all run zones, that we take each project very personally.
Therefore, we dig a little bit deeper. I think we're a little bit more committed to the success of our clients in the foreign trade zone area.
Many of our large corporations, after they have implemented a foreign trade zone, a year into their program, what they've acknowledged to us is that they've actually found many of their normal operating procedures have been streamlined and more efficient because of the foreign trade zone program, even though the FTZ was a side project.
Not all FTZ consultants are the same. In many cases, foreign trade zone practice is just a part of the overall practice of a particular consulting firm. In our case, U.S. foreign trade zones is all we do.
So we don't go in and set you up and say thank you and then we've left. We always take it very personally in the fact that if we were running that zone, how would we want to do it?
What our goal is as consultants and also as that service provider of the software and implementation is to provide you the most streamlined project and allow you to become a foreign trade zone, operate as a foreign trade zone on a day-to-day basis, and benefit on both cost and time efficiency.
Whatever it takes, we make sure we get that special procedure to make sure our client runs smooth so they can maximize their savings.
And I think this really accounts for our really digging deep into not only the operational aspects of the program, but the trade policy aspects of the program, and making sure that we do the very best that we can to maximize the opportunities for the success of our clients.